My brother-in-law destroyed our family by confessing his love to my wife. So, my sister is married, right? Her husband, my brother-in-law, dropped a bomb on my wife yesterday. Out of nowhere, he asked her to lunch, saying he needed to talk. My wife told me about it, a little puzzled. She wondered if it was about her and her husband fighting and him wanting a woman's opinion. I thought it was weird. He'd never asked my wife out like that before, though he texts all of us for everyday stuff. We are a tight family, so I tried not to think much of it. Just go, I said, trying to act cool. She agreed to meet him near her work the next day. The next morning, she brought it up again. I still don't know what this is about, she said, sounding worried. It's probably nothing, I said, trying to calm her. Hear him out. We'll deal with it together if it is serious. She met him at a busy cafe. She seemed more comfy being in a crowd. She went early and grabbed a window seat so she could watch him come in. When he got there, he looked super nervous, way more than usual. They did small talk for a minute, like work and the kids. But then, as soon as their food came, he just blurted it out. He started by saying how good she looked. At first, she thought he was just being nice. But then he went on and on about how she's always made him feel good, that it was love at first sight. I've loved you since the second I saw you, he said, voice shaking. If you were mine, I'd treat you like a queen. You deserve everything. My wife was floored. This guy married to my sister, the father of her kids, was confessing his undying love and making crazy promises. He said he'd been hiding it for years, felt like they were meant to be. She tried to cut him off, but he just kept rambling, like he'd practiced it 1,000,000 times in the mirror. This guy has always been friendly with my wife. We see each other all the time. Family stuff. He's the fun uncle, always at barbecues and holiday dinners. He texts my wife a lot, but it is always about kid stuff or family plans, nothing sexual. He texts my mom too. We all thought he was a good dude, someone we trusted. So, when my wife told me this, man, it was a gut punch. She didn't let him finish. She just stood up, chair flying back, and walked out. Shaking, she called me and told me everything. While she was on the phone, the texts started. First, apologies, saying he didn't mean it. It was just infatuation. He was sorry for making her uncomfortable. Too late. She left work and came home to tell me. Her phone kept blowing up with his calls and texts. I told her to answer one on speaker so I could hear. He was crying, begging her not to tell my sister. He kept saying he messed up, misread signals, thought she felt the same. He said during the weekend when we were together, he thought she was flirting back and had a moment alone in our kitchen or something. My wife can be very funny, so I can see how it could be taken for flirting. But this? Way out of line. He asked if she told me, and I said yes. Then he started begging me not to say anything. This went on for a minute. Him begging, us listening. I asked him if he had cheated on my sister before, and he swore he hadn't. On his kids' lives, it was just my wife, that I should understand. At that point, I was done. I told him I wasn't doing anything and would call him tomorrow. So now we're stuck with this mess, not knowing what to do next. My wife thinks we should go over there right now and tell my sister. But wrecking my sister's family, thinking about my nieces, I don't know. I know telling my sister is the right thing, but what about my wife? Like, it's not her fault, but there's going to be family resentment, even if my sister doesn't dump him. Will things ever go back to normal? This whole thing could tear our family apart. I don't care about him. He tried to blow up my family, but I do care about everyone else. Update. Everyone who said I couldn't wait to tell my sister was right. After midnight, my sister called. She sounded upset and said her husband had told her something. My heart dropped. He came to her in tears, claiming my wife tried to sleep with him. He completely flipped the script, making her out to be the bad guy. I couldn't believe it. I told her it wasn't true and that I'd be right over. I called my parents fast, waking them up. My dad was pissed, and my mom was shocked but ready to do what she had to. They said they'd go to my sister's to be with the kids. Then, I called my little brother. He was confused, but when I told him what was up, he said he'd come over and stay with our kids so they wouldn't be alone. My wife was already getting her stuff together, looking super pale. We drove to my sister's, the ride feeling forever. It was quiet because we were both very deep in thought. When we got there, it was even worse than I thought. My sister was on the porch with him. He looked awful, eyes down, shoulders slumped. He knew we had the texts and voicemails, proof he was a trash human being. I don't know what he thought he was doing lying to my sister in the middle of the night. He probably thought he could get things twisted. It didn't work at all. We walked up, and the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. My wife was shaking, trying to stay calm. She handed my sister her phone to look at what she wrote. My sister took it, looking angry and hurt. She scrolled through the texts and then listened to the voicemails. She now knew what he did in the dark. Before she could speak, my brother-in-law just started sobbing. He's a firefighter, for crying out loud. He faces danger every day, and seeing him like that was crazy. He was just going to destroy his marriage and family. My sister didn't react, looked straight ahead instead of down. She waited for him to stop crying and then said, "Pack a bag and go." "I can't stand to look at you," he tried to plead, but she cut him off. "Just stop," she said. "Nothing's going to make this better." She walked over to my wife and hugged her. These two have been friends forever, and it was nice to see them sticking together, at the very least. Then, it was just me and my brother-in-law. He looked at me, begging for something. I had nothing to offer. He tried to talk, but I stopped him. "You need to leave," I said. "This is your fault. You need to pay the price." He just nodded, totally beat, and went inside to pack. My sister stayed with my wife, and they talked quietly, supporting each other all night. The rest of the night is kind of a blur. We just circled around my sister, trying to figure out what she should do and how to keep her kids safe from all this mess. Then, my sister started asking my wife why her husband thought any of this could work. She wanted to know if he thought she felt the same. My sister was sure there were no marriage problems, that things were as they always were. My wife was crying, tears running down her face, trying to understand it all. "There's nothing you haven't seen," she said, her voice shaky. She handed my sister her phone, and together they went through every text from the last 2 years. They read each one, trying to find anything inappropriate, but there was nothing. My wife was just being herself. She's got this playful personality, always joking and teasing. It's what makes her so lovable and easy to get along with. My brother-in-law's got a similar sense of humor, and they've always teased each other in a light, harmless way. She does the same with my mom and my little brother. It's just how she talks to people. The only thing my wife could think of that might have been taken the wrong way was last weekend. They were all at our place, and she and my brother-in-law reached for the fridge at the same time. They playfully bumped each other, laughing to see who could get there first. He let her win, but then he reached around her waist for a beer, moving his hand slowly. She said it felt a little off in that moment. It was quick, and she didn't want to make a big deal out of it, so she brushed it off. Now she wonders if she gave him some crazy hope by not saying anything. My sister listened, her face softening. She doesn't blame my wife at all. She knows her well enough to know that her being playful doesn't mean anything more. "It's not your fault," she told her, and my wife nodded, but she still felt guilty. As they finished the texts, it was clear there was nothing going on. No signals or flirting. My wife was just being herself, and my brother-in-law twisted it into something it wasn't. The thought that this misunderstanding caused so much pain was almost too much, but at least my sister still believed my wife. Then my sister started looking through his MacBook to see what else she didn't know. She was angry and frantic, her hands shaking while she typed. She guessed the password and got it on the 3rd try. She took a breath before searching his files, hoping to find something that would explain this mess. It didn't take long before she found something messed up. Hidden in a folder labeled innocently were tons of pictures of my wife. They went back years, and they were always just of her, never in group shots or normal family pictures. My sister clicked through them, her anger turning to horror. One set of pictures really stood out. A while back, we went on a couple's trip to the Caribbean. It was a rare vacation without the kids, and my wife, feeling more relaxed, wore a bikini. She usually doesn't like them, but this time, she felt okay with it. There were maybe 50 pictures of her in that bikini, all taken without her knowing. My sister's face went white as she scrolled through them. He'd been secretly taking these photos for years, collecting them. The thought that he'd been fixated on her, lurking around at family events, sent shivers down her spine. Is this restraining order territory? She wondered out loud, her voice shaking. This had taken a creepy turn, way worse than any of us thought. It crossed the line from inappropriate to just plain disturbing. She called us over and showed us the pictures. My wife gasped, covering her mouth in shock. She had no clue he was doing this, no idea about his obsession. My sister, her anger replaced with betrayal, started talking about what to do next, legal stuff, protecting her kids, and a restraining order. These were things they needed to think about now. We were all shocked by this new discovery. The man we thought we knew, the one we trusted as a husband, father, and brother-in-law, showed a dark side. It wasn't just a crush anymore. It was way more evil. Unfortunately, the mess kept going. My sister decided to talk to her husband last night and let him explain. She wanted the whole story and wanted my wife to be there to make sure he wasn't lying. They set up a call, and I listened without being on camera. My heart was racing with a mix of anger and dread. My sister, being careful, started recording the whole thing. The tension was thick in the air as soon as the call started. My brother-in-law looked exhausted, his eyes all red and puffy from crying. He started slowly, his voice shaky, but then the truth just poured out, and the story came out in a way none of us saw coming. He admitted he's been obsessed with my wife for years. "It started the day I met her," he said, his voice barely a whisper. He explained that it was at one of those early get-togethers when my sister was excited to show off her new boyfriend to her friends. My wife and I were dating then, but he'd met her first. At first he thought it was just a physical thing, a small crush he could ignore. But as he spent more time around her, he realized it was more. He became fixated on her personality, her laugh, the way she was with everyone. He talked about watching her, unable to look away, even when she was just being herself, playful and kind. He said he tried to push those feelings away, telling himself they were nothing, but his obsession just got bigger. He started finding excuses to be near her, helping out with family stuff, texting her about dumb things. It was a slow, sneaky process that led him to think he had to tell her how he felt, tricking himself into thinking she might feel the same. My sister listened, her face showing a mix of rage and heartbreak. She didn't say a word, letting him make things worse with every word. My wife was really shaken, realizing how long this had been going on and how deep his obsession went. When he stopped talking, there was a long silence. Then, my sister finally spoke, her voice cold. "What made you think my wife would leave me for you?" she asked, staring him down. He stumbled over his words, trying to explain. He brought up the connection, the times he thought she was flirting back. That's when my wife and sister lost it, their anger and frustration exploding. There was a lot of swearing and screaming, just raw emotion of betrayal and hurt. My wife hung up, her hands shaking, her face pale. She was worried about me, kept telling me it was only him and that she felt nothing for him. I knew she was telling the truth. Even if she found him attractive at some point, I knew she'd never do anything about it. She's really serious about trust and staying loyal, something she made obvious early in our relationship. This whole thing was a sick fantasy of my brother-in-law's, a crazy idea that almost destroyed our family. The tension that had been building just blew up into a storm of ranting and yelling. My wife's voice was full of anger and hurt, while my sister's was hard and unforgiving. The emotions were too much, the air heavy with betrayal and disbelief. The call ended when my wife, all shaken up, just hung up because she was worried about me. She turned to me, her eyes wide with fear and confusion. "It was only him," she said, her voice shaking. "I know," I said, trying to calm her down. Even if she did find him attractive at some point, I knew she'd never do anything about it. That's just not her. Early in our relationship, she made it totally clear where she stood on trust. I remember watching her get dressed one morning, admiring her without saying anything. She noticed, gave me a playful smile, and asked if I liked what I saw. But then her face turned serious, almost cold. "Never up," she said, her tone leaving no room for argument, or "you'll never see this again." She wasn't kidding. My wife is all about trust. Once it's broken, it's almost impossible to fix. As I sat there, thinking about the crazy scene, I couldn't help but shake my head at my brother-in-law. I knew he was a little cocky, but I never thought he was so full of himself that he thought he could pull something like this off. He was completely disconnected from reality. I talked to my sister later, once things had calmed down. She was determined to keep her kids safe from everything her husband had done. She said she's calling a lawyer Monday to see how to keep him away from the kids. She wants to protect them from all this mess. She thinks he's lost it. Her voice was firm. She's not trying to save her marriage anymore, just her kids. My brother-in-law came back home yesterday. Not because my sister wants him, but because she can't legally stop him right now. Even with everything that's happened, he can stay there until the legal stuff is sorted out. The house is super tense. They're done. And I think he knows it now. He looks empty, like he knows he's blown it. The lawyer told my sister that because they've got proof of my brother-in-law's behavior, she has a good shot at getting full custody. The texts, voicemails, and those creepy photos really show how obsessed and unstable he is. He doesn't even seem to want to fight it. It's like he knows he's lost and doesn't have the energy to argue. My sister will be all right. She's stronger than she looks, and whatever she felt for him is gone. She's focused on her kids now. She doesn't seem sad, just ready to move on. The kids don't know everything yet, but they know something's up. Kids always do. My brother-in-law was never really around anyway. He was always working, so his absence was normal for them, but it'll still be hard when they find out. The stable home they had, even if it wasn't perfect, is changing. My sister's ready for this. She's already talked to a child psychologist to help them with all the questions and feelings that are coming. She's ready to be both mom and dad. My brother-in-law is in the guest room, quiet, like he doesn't belong there anymore. He seems to have accepted his fate, but I don't feel bad for him. Some friends think there must be other women, that he couldn't be this obsessed with just one person. But as far as we know, there's no one else. It's just his thing for my wife, super intense and focused on her. After everything came out, my wife blocked his number to get space. But the night he came home, he emailed her from a new account. It started like an apology, but it got weird fast. He said he never got to finish at the restaurant, like he had more to say. Then he went on and on about how much he loves my wife, how desperate he felt, how all these emotions drove him crazy. He talked about every little thing he liked about her, her smile, her laugh. It was creepy to see it all written out. He said they had this mutual thing, this sexual tension he always felt. He's completely lost it, thinking her being nice was something more. He created this whole fantasy in his head. The email ended with a big section about me. Let's just say he doesn't think much of me. He was sure I wasn't good enough for my wife. He criticized everything about me, saying I wasn't worthy of her. He was trying to make me feel bad. It was a punch in the gut. It was obvious his obsession with my wife had messed with his head and made him hate me. He saw me as an obstacle, but it just made me want to protect my wife and family even more. We sent the email to my sister and her lawyer. It was more proof of how messed up he is. This email, with its apologies, obsession, and hate, might get him kicked out for good. For now, we're taking it day by day. Our friends and family have been amazing, helping us through this crazy time. My wife's getting better each day. She feels bad for being too comfortable around my brother-in-law. She's usually careful with guys, but she thought she was safe with him because he was family. She never thought he'd cross the line. Luckily, she and my sister are okay, which is a relief. We'll all be fine, but it'll take time. Thanks for all the support. My main thing is my sister and her kids. This has messed up their lives so much. The number one goal is making sure they're safe. Kids need to be protected from stuff like this to feel secure. You have to act fast. We got evidence, dealt with the issue, and got a lawyer to keep everyone safe. Waiting or ignoring it would have been worse. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stories on this channel.